It's the end of the week. It's the end of the month. It's payday. It's
Is it payday? Is that true?
I think it should be. I mean, it's. I hope. Let me put it
I
this
don't
way.
know.
I hope we got paid because I got a mortgage payment due in I don't know 2 days. So that'd be
I have
nice.
people for that, Brad. I don't know when I get paid.
Well,
By
good.
people, I mean my wife. Someone
It's like,
responsible.
is there a
She
troll
doesn't
in
let
your
me go
basement?
anywhere
Just
near our money. Are you kidding me?
every time Paul
The
has to pay
ship
a
wouldn't
bill, he has to
just
go
like
into the.
sink. It would like explode and then hurl into space.
I just imagined when you you said that every time you got to pay a bill, you got to walk into the basement, open a door, and talk to the troll, and be like, "I need $9. I got something to pay."
Uh, yeah, it is. It's a little bit like that. It's a little bit like that.
I don't know. I don't. Well, I'm going to tell this anyways. Paul messaged me a couple days ago. Goes, yeah. So my wife noticed that there were a couple Apple things on the bill this
Right.
this week. It's
There
like,
was some discussion ahead of time.
anyway, so your MacBook Air review is conveniently posted.
Yes. Yes.
How is it?
I like it a lot. I really like it a lot. And I got to tell you, from I don't think it's good enough to sway a lot of people from the Windows side.
Mhm.
I think really what this thing was designed for was to appease the many MacBook Air fans who were clamoring for an update, and they finally got it. And I think it's a good update. I think the only downside to it, honestly, is that it's just too expensive. It should be about $200 less expensive per
Mhm.
configuration. So I think that's going to keep a lot of the switchers away. But for me, well, it's not like I'm switching to the Mac, but it comes at kind of a tough time because I don't know if you've noticed, Brad, but Windows 10 has had some issues lately,
Has it?
and yeah, and like my computer specifically, like I've talked about this static screen that goes every day on me. I woke up this morning, I tapped the key to turn on the computer, it didn't come on. I had to, or wake up or whatever. Well, actually, it woke up. What doesn't happen is the screen doesn't come on. So you hold down the power button. And it's like, every day I go through this, and it's like, seriously, like, what am I doing to myself here? But I don't know. I think this computer has this particular problem. It could be interference. Like I said, it has something to do with the wiring. Typically, when people experience this, they have an HDMI cable or whatever kind of cable, that you want, switch out that fixes it. This is an all-in-one, so it's something inside the box. But yeah, this thing just kind of works. So, it's dark mode's really nice.
What
All the
doesn't
built-in
work?
apps are kind of incredible. Have you ever heard anyone say that about Windows 10?
Well, Miracast just decided to crash. Wow.
That's weird. You should try AirPrint too. I bet that, or Air, what do they call it? Air.
Oh, I think it's coming back. Anyways, well, good. I'm glad your device is whatever.
It's nice.
Yeah. How's
It
the
is
keyboard though? Because that's
nice.
been.
Right. I actually like the keyboard.
Ooh.
So the weird thing is, last year I bought and then returned a 15-inch MacBook Pro, primarily because, like, seriously, it was like $1,800, and I just can't. Although this one wasn't much less expensive, honestly, but it was too big, too heavy, too expensive, but I've always been intrigued by this keyboard thing they're doing, and like I'm a writer. I spend all day typing. I care about this stuff. My opinions of what is a good keyboard, especially on a laptop, has changed over time.
Sure.
And we've moved to island style keys, which Apple did not invent, by the way, but they did sort of popularize it on the previous generation MacBook Air, and then now they've moved ahead to this butterfly design. The stated rationale for it, which is to improve the stability of keys. I guess they have this video, they show you how if you hit a key on the corner, the key kind of turns a little bit with your finger press. Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I have never heard one person ever say, the problem with keyboards, today is like this switch is like a scissor switch and it doesn't work well. You know what? Whatever. And obviously it's had huge reliability problems. It's on the 3rd gen. Super short throws, meaning like the amount of distance the key goes up and down. There's also other elements to that. There's kind of a feedback effect you get when the key bottoms out, and there's a lot that goes into it. Anyway, despite everything I just said, I really like the keyboard. It's a little on the loud side compared to the keyboards. It's not as loud as previous generation butterfly keyboards. Super short throw. maybe because your book just came out and I had been reading it, one of the things I was sort of reminded of that I had literally blocked out of my mind was the touch covers that Microsoft came out with, right? And as you documented in the book, the Surface guys thought this was going to be like the best seller. The idea being that a lot of people were buying iPads, and one of the weird things that we discovered was that for some reason, even though it makes no sense, people are able to type on these glass keyboards, glass virtual keyboards right on the screen, really effectively. And it's something I've witnessed personally as well. I remember years ago, a friend's wife is just tapping away on the keyboard. And I'm like, on the screen? How is that even possible? And so the theory behind this thing was there's no feedback at all. It's just like tapping on glass, but it takes the keyboard off the screen. So now you have the whole screen to use. And, and then it also forms a protective cover. I'm not explaining this for your benefit. I know you know that, Brad. Yeah. But for people watching, just kind of to remember it. And I guess what I'd say is for a generation of people who have now grown up typing on glass, this is a huge step up, And I don't know, maybe there's a benefit here for the device can be thinner, although the MacBook Air, like the MacBook Pro, like the MacBook, is not actually any thinner than any Windows-based keyboard with a traditional style key. But
sure.
I don't know what to tell you. I like it, and it's just a weird evolution, I think, of typing, actually, on devices.
You know what else I like, Paul? I like these.
Yes.
These are Microsoft announced these on Medium because they don't have enough places that they put PRs.
Because I spun the roulette wheel, Brad, and that's where the little needle landed.
Yeah.
Medium.
But
they haven't used Medium in a while.
But these all look. I mean, they look kind of nice. I think they did a good job.
Yeah, allegedly this is part of a broader restyling campaign that's going to happen across Microsoft's end user interfaces. And I think, cynically, I think a lot of people would look at this and be like, oh yeah, the icon's prettier, but could they fix the whatever the bug is in Windows 10 they can't stand? Different people, working on this stuff. From my perspective, I complain a lot about fit and finish, and one of the things we've seen in the early 19H1 builds for Windows 10, we see it in the last two releases as well, although, the deployment of those hasn't gone very well, is more of a focus on this kind of thing, fit and finish. Going back to things that are already there and are already kind of fine and making them better. Making something prettier, I guess you could argue that isn't necessarily better. I would argue that if it's part of a more consistent user experience across the board, actually, it is better. And depending on your view of this thing, I think they're pretty. I think they look great. I think that qualifies as better as well.
Yeah, I like them. I think they're good.
I do too.
So we will see. You know what else is also good, Paul? Look what showed up today.
Oh, it's in paper form. Fan
it is. Dead Tree Edition. Version 1.0.
Smell book. Smell it.
It smells like a book.
It's nice. It's nice seeing something like that, right?
Yeah. I got to figure out the only issue with the cover is the stupid picture of me on the back is a little.
What's the issue? Well, I know what the picture is, but what's the issue with it? Other than as you. Sorry.
It's ever so slightly blurry, just the picture. So I don't. And granted, that might just be how it prints. That there may not be a fix to this. So I suspect I'll probably just be like, it is what it is. That's just it.
Yeah.
And then, because all I got to do is go on Amazon and just hit approve, and then this thing is ready for sale, I believe.
Wow. So if you were to try to make that picture clearer, what would that entail?
Re-uploading the cover. But
yeah.
So basically you upload it, they convert it into the format needed for the book, and then they show you a digital proof.
Yep.
And
I think that's the issue. That conversion process is something you can't do.
Yeah, because Caitlin,
I'm impressed they have a process though for this. So this is something Amazon does.
Oh, it's crazy easy. Basically, you write the book like we did. LeanPub has a export for printing functionality. You hit that button, it does some stuff. You make sure that file looks okay, which is a PDF. You go to Amazon, you upload it, They convert it into the Dead Tree format. You upload a cover and you hit print, and it takes quite literally 48 hours. I uploaded it 48 hours ago, hit buy, and then it showed up.
Yeah.
Like,
so when you actually do that and hit the button, does it, like the sound of a tree screaming as it dies, happen to let you know that the process completed successfully?
Yes, actually it does. It just says, "You jerk, you just killed one tree," and then
you're like, "Yeah, but I made $1.50, so
worth
whatever."
it. So I got to figure out if I'm good with this, and then I actually have 4 copies.
Yeah, right. So I haven't gotten a paper version of a book since. I don't even remember. Might have been the Windows 8.1 book or something.
Well, you'll probably get a copy of this. I can tell you that much, because I'm probably going to force it down your throat.
Wow, this is going to be the cheap-ass Christmas present you send out to everyone this year. Is that what I'm saying?
Why you got to be spoiler? Spoiler alert.
It's all right. No, you should enjoy this moment. This is like I told you the story, like you say to your brother, where's the book that you wrote for Mom?
Yeah. I thought about getting a special version printed that the dedication was just for Mom, just to really go over the edge. But
my mother was actually very burned that every time a book came out, I would dedicate it to my wife or my family, or never to her. And I'm like, anything can be bought.
Yeah, the great thing about this right now, Paul, is that I no longer have to every evening slave away, staying up late at night working at my computer. I can now ignore my family while playing Xbox instead.
Yeah, this is a benefit I can also enjoy. Although, granted, my efforts along those lines were not as long as yours. I mean, obviously, but yeah. It's good
what else? So next week will be interesting. We have that Qualcomm event. I think it's the 4th. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, 4th, 5th, 6th, I think. And we were invited to come, and obviously Hawaii is awesome. And Brad and I both had the same knee-jerk response immediately, which was like, obviously. And then the next day we were like, I don't know, it's such a long flight, and you could kind of watch the event, online anyway. And just stomaching a flight of that duration. Last year my wife was able to come, and your wife too, which was great. And this year that would be difficult. And
same.
My wife is actually away right now. She went to Boston. And it's like, could you fly from Boston to blah, blah, and it's like,
don't get me wrong, Hawaii is absolutely fantastic in every way, but it is a chore to get there.
Yeah. So maybe next time, I don't know, but it was awesome last year. It was awesome. And this event should be very interesting, right? Because obviously they're going to talk about the next Snapdragon chips for mobile, but also for the PC, I would imagine. And given, I think there's a lot of us, and I think both of you and I kind of fall into this category where really like the idea behind the platform, really want it to succeed. It's very clear what the problems are with Gen 1 and we'll call it Gen 1.5, the stuff that's out now. And I think they're going to get there on the performance front. We'll see what that looks like exactly, but whatever they call this next chip for PCs. And then there are lingering questions around compatibility. So we'll see what happens there too. But
yeah, I'm going to be very curious to see what happens. You remember Terry Myerson was on stage last year.
Guessing he's not going to blow through this time.
Well, I suspect that if he is there this time, he might have actually hung out with us rather than sending us.
That'll be the irony. He couldn't. Yeah, he texted me and he was like, "Sorry, I can't stay."
Pretty sure his plane landed. He ran to the stage, did a thing, and then got back on the plane and left.
Literally, that is what he did. Yeah, that you thought our flights were bad, right?
Well, yes, but we also weren't on a Gulf Stream.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, well, let's put it this way, Paul. If they called and said, "Hey, we'll fly you in a private jet to Hawaii," I would have been, okay, let's do this.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Yeah. That's true.
It does make it
first
easy.
Class probably I would have done.
Yeah. What else is going on in the Microsoft world today? Or just even the world? They sold a whole bunch of HoloLenses, which I have to think are next-gen units, or at least some sort of hybrid.
No one's talking about that, but I don't have any information about roadmaps and blah blah blah. But
I might.
HoloLens 3, as they will not call it, is definitely going to be announced sometime soon.
Well,
It has to be.
I can tell you when it's June. That's when it's supposed
Oh,
to be.
June. Okay.
Well, let me
Wait,
put
when
it
it's
this way.
supposed to be out?
Yeah, Sydney is supposed to be something is supposed to happen in June with Sydney, which is the code name. Now, what I don't know is if that's when it's shipping or if that's when they're
Yeah.
announcing it.
Given the type of device it is, it would make sense to say something at build. It worked out so great for
what I
them
was
with
thinking
Surface
too.
Up too, so why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I read this. I don't know where I saw this. It might have been. Doesn't matter. But one of the reports I read noted that this sale, which was for what 150,000,
Something like that. Yeah.
180,000, whatever the number was, literally doubled the number of HoloLenses out in the world. Which is yeah. It's good though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Magic Leap swung for the fences on this one, and here we are.
It's doing better than Xbox One.
It is. You'd have to think that this is a massive deal for Microsoft, obviously on many levels, because if this works out, this is not the end of the ordering of these things, because there's a whole generational shift for the battlefield if these things work out like they hope.
They better hope that the people they're shooting at are always right in front of them, though, because. Am I missing the point? I'm sorry.
I don't even know what to say to that anymore. It's yeah. And I guess the other kind of crazy thing that was announced a little bit, I guess, is Apple Music coming to the Amazon thing, which I can't say.
I might I might be reading too much into this, but Amazon and Apple about a week or two ago kind of announced a partnership where Apple's selling their stuff directly on Amazon.com, except for the HomePod, which is kind of interesting. I also read something that, and this was like on an Apple type blog. I've been using Apple News a lot on my iPad lately, and there's a lot of Apple centric stuff in the news on this app.
Can't imagine that.
Yeah, weird. Like the Wall Street Journal tilts a little to the right. New York Times tilts a little to the left. Apple News tilts a little bit to Cupertino. But anyway, I guess this thing is not sold very well, and they're looking at doing a lower cost version, but there's this fear now that maybe, HomePod just doesn't make a ton of sense.
Well,
and
I think, skirting around that issue, I don't think people are going to buy a HomePod because they have an Apple Music subscription, or only the reason why.
Right. And this is like a classic kind of decision that companies make, in the Microsoft world, if you'll excuse the phrase, because this was the phrase, they used to call this knifing the baby.
Wow.
And I know. It was a different Microsoft. Yeah. And in the case, the first case I know of this, it was when they knifed MSN, which debuted as part of Windows 95. By allowing the existing online services, which were like CompuServe, AOL, and I don't remember what, Genie or something. I don't remember the 3 or 4 of them, but to be on the Windows 95 desktop. Because in the scheme of things, Windows 95 was a lot more important than MSN. And I think in this case, what you're seeing is Apple kind of understanding that Apple Music is way more important than this one HomePod thing, right? And that people listen to Apple Music on their devices. They need to be able to listen to them at home, whatever they have. They put Apple Music on Android. They want it in cars. And it's also going to form the basis for some coming TV music subscription service as well. You want that to be out in the world. And I think this was a good decision for them. And, for people like you have an iPhone, and I don't know if you have Apple TV or whatever, but you have an iPhone certainly. And now, I know you probably don't, but if you were to use Apple Music, this is like there are a lot of people like that.
Yep.
It's like iPod users in the early days. The crossover with Windows PC users was like 90-something%. It makes sense to support that thing.
Yep. But I'm not one of those people because I'm going to stick with Spotify.
Yeah, I have to have another. I use Google Play Music, although we also pay for Spotify for the family, and I have to call them every 3 to 6 months because my device devices that are attached to the account rack up because I have so many devices. And I very specifically don't download songs except to the one or two devices I actually, use really all the time.
Yeah.
But that's not always the thing that associates the device. So sometimes just streaming music or whatever, you just bring up the app, it gets associated. So you rack them up and you hit 10, you can remove one or two every so often, whatever it is. And then I can't add it to something and I have to call them and be like, I do this for a living and I kind of did, and then they have to escalate it. And it's like, could you just mark my account like it's okay? I pay you every month. Like seriously, you can see I'm only using it on one phone, but yeah, it's stupid.
But here we are.
Yep.
Here we are. So you got anything else for today, Mr. Thrat?
I have a printer in that I'm going to be reviewing, which is actually kind of awesome.
Wow.
I know. Well, think about it this way. So it's an HP printer. It's called the Tango. You can look it up. It's out now. Tango X or 10 or whatever. It's the first printer they've ever made where you set it up on your phone, and there's no wires other than for power, and you can print from anything. So it prints from Windows, it prints from your phone, various services, integration, so forth. And I guess the thing I just put in your head is this notion of like, HP is this company that sells like these two legacy devices, PCs and printers, and they've done a really good job with both of them. How do you sell a legacy device in a world that's gone mobile and cloud and whatever? And on the PC side, you can see what they've done with premium in gaming PCs and design. And on the printer side, they're kind of doing that as well, but they're kind of doing the whole cloud mobile thing. And it's like, what does a printer look like in a smart home? And I have to say, it's pretty smart. So I just one of the things my wife does, for example, is she makes a list on paper that's on the fridge, and then she takes it with her, in paper form, to the store, and she actually crosses things off as she buys them at the store. And so one of the things people would say, well, why don't you just do it on your phone? You have all these things on your phone, OneNote, Keep, whatever, that can do that list, and you can tap it and blah blah blah. And she just kind of doesn't like to do that. But it is really convenient, with an Amazon device like you have, or a Google Assistant-based device like I have, to kind of say, hey, whatever, add this to my list. And then it creates this list up in the cloud in whatever app you've chosen. And then you can use this thing to say, hey, blah, 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 print that list with checkboxes. And then it prints out on the printer, so she can still bring the paper with her. And there are checkboxes on it. So it took the list she made with her voice, which is the type of thing you do in the kitchen when you walk around and you just ran out of sugar or something, So I know that's just one minor thing, but it's an interesting idea. Yeah.
My wife is the same way. We have a little skinny sheet of paper, and then she writes everything out on, and that's what we take.
My wife has gone to the store and forgotten the list, and then she's called me and said, "Could you take a photo of it and send me the photo?" And it's like, obviously I can do that. Why don't I just read it to you and you can handwrite it? It's so old-fashioned already.
Or you're going to have tacos 5 nights in a row.
Yeah, I would welcome that, but
I would love tacos right now. I haven't eaten lunch yet, and I got a meeting here soon.
I'm so sorry.
It's always your fault somehow, some way.
So you think you're going to get this thing out today, the book, the paper book?
Yeah, I hope. I want to relook at everything online again and make sure everything uploaded correctly and do all that, and then I think so.
Because what I'd like not to do is get another email or a forum post or something on Twitter from someone who has a question about your book, customer service type question, where for some reason, have you established that I am your secretary or something? Or why would people come to me for your book? But they do.
Because that's what people do, Paul. It's called teamwork. Thanks for helping. You jerk. All right, folks. Well, that wraps it up for today. I'm going to go play with this book, however one does that. And you have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and we'll catch you right back here next time. I hit the wrong button.
There it is.